Hey, so here we are. We're live. It's Monday morning. It's just gone 8:30. Had a little cam issue there, so that's meant I'm a couple of minutes late jumping on. But hey, it's Monday morning. It's 8:30, and I'm doing my live Q&A, and it's what we do on a Monday morning. I jump on here usually for about 30 minutes, sometimes longer, sometimes a bit shorter, and it's all determined by the number of questions that people choose to ask. And what do? Answer questions. Pretty simple. Q&A. Been doing it for, over 5 years, really. So I just need you guys to pop some questions in the chat box and let me answer them. I'll take a quick slurp of tea, as I will, throughout this little session. And then we'll do that. So I've got some good mornings coming in there. Here we are, co-time. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Nice to see you too. Got a question? Or you just lurking? Lurking's fine, okay. You can just lurk here and see what else happens. Most people do that, but that's okay. Got a question? Whack it in the chat box. I'll give you a little rundown of what my week looks like while I'm waiting for some questions. So I'm off down to Birmingham lunchtime because I'm going to be interviewed, not introduced, interviews. You're lurking today, nothing specific. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, you feel free to lurk, and that's fine. Good. I love that. It's a lovely word, lurk, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to lurk around. I lurk in a lot of Facebook groups, just see what's going on. Nothing wrong with a bit of lurking, co-time. There you go. So yeah, my good friend Sad Hussain is going to interview me for his podcast today, so that's going to be interesting. And then I'm going to I'm in Birmingham for the rest of the week, so I'm going to hang around for the rest of the week in Birmingham. Why is that? Well, because on Tuesday, which of course is tomorrow because today's Monday, I'm going to be running the next Mentorship and Accountability Day of my current Ninja Achievers group. So I'm interested to see what they've been up to since we met last month in May. And they gave me each gave me a list of objectives that they felt were achievable in a 4-week time frame. So we're going to be revisiting those objectives, actions, goals, if you want to call them like that. These are just short ones that you can just crash out, literally in a month. These guys are part of a 12-month mentorship. We're now in month 3, starting in April. And just setting, what we found is just setting a succession of 4 weekly goals throughout the 12 months really pushes people forward. So it's great to have some longer goals as well, but you can't really see those being achieved quite so easily. But just short 4-week goals and a succession of those that actually build into bigger goals, we get real traction because we can see progress on a 4-weekly basis. And of course, if things didn't happen as they should, we've got time to correct them as well, and they get corrected quickly. So I'm going to be doing that. And the rest of the week, Thursday through to Sunday, I'm running the second and last of the springtime 4-day workshops, my Ninja Investor program, my flagship training. And I've got a bunch of people that have jumped on with me previously. And we're going to drill down into the exact details of how to make BRR successful. Now, while I'm chatting about that, hey, a few more of you jumped on board. Now you've got the questions, property finance questions. That's what I deal with. So just anything that's bugging you, anything that's messing with your head, far away, let me answer it. I'll give you some clarity. I've been doing that for years. Bunch of people jumped on board with me in the last few months, some from last year, and they're going to learn exactly how systematically to make buy, refurb, refinance work to the point where they can create a lifestyle for themselves and their families. They've learned it digitally. I mean, I've got some film studio quality digital content. I think it will stand up quality wise against any training out there right now. I'm going to do that, and that will take up the rest of the week. Here we are. So, hey, what do you want to know? Come on, look, Co's coming here. He wants to lurk. He wants to find out some answers to people's questions, which I'm happy to give you. So, what do you want to know? Now, while we're talking about that, and while I'm waiting for a question to come up, what can I tell you about the rest of the month? Well, hey, BRR Summits. Look, there we are, BRR Summits. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the 21st, I'm going to try something out. I'm going to try a virtual BRR Summit. I'm going to live stream it from here in my office, and we're going to see if it works. I know it works very well, extremely well. The BRR Summit one-day events, it works very well in person, and I've got a couple of those coming up at the end of the month. They're the last two for the spring-summer season, and I'm going to try it on Saturday 21st. So hey, if you can't get down to either Bristol or Heathrow, because I'm doing Bristol on the 29th, Sunday the 29th, and London Heathrow on the 28th, preceding down the Saturday the 28th. And I won't be doing any more of those till October. It'll be November before I do any of those. I've got a different type of BR Summit I'm doing in October. So, if you can't get down to London Heathrow on the 28th, and you can't either get down onto Bristol on the 29th, the live stream version is the answer, because I'll be doing one of those on the 21st of June. There you go. So put yourself in, come and spend a day with me and get some real detailed learning. Obviously not as detailed as I do over 4 days. That's a whole deeper level of learning, but give you an awful lot of content over those days. So that's the BRR Summits. I haven't got any of those for this week, and it'll be next Saturday, 21st, when I'll be doing a virtual one. But I'm here to answer questions. So what questions have you got about property finance generally today? Now, here's someone I'll be seeing this Thursday through to Sunday, Nicoletta. Good to see you, Nicoletta. So we're going to be, you're going to be drilling down into the detail. You've been doing it digitally. Now you'll be drilling down to the detail with me in Birmingham. Good. By the way, did I miss a phone call from you over the weekend? I know we chatted a couple of times, but I'm not sure if I missed a call for you. But if I did, I'll give you a buzz back. There we are. See, Nicola's in my in my training program, jumped on board, and she's actually currently in the Ninja Aspirers mentoring group before she moves up to the Ninja Achievers mentoring group in October. Yep, I did miss a call. Okay, I'll give you a buzz a bit later this morning. There was. And here's someone else, Nicolette. Hey, how you doing? So I've been working closely with Nicolette over the last few weeks, mentoring her on her deals because she's in my training program as well. Someone else has come into France in October with the next batch of Ninja Achievers. The next cohort starts in October, and I think Nicoletta might be going I'm not sure if you're coming in October or if it's April. It doesn't matter. You'll be coming on. There we go. Yeah. You're still alive. Yeah, I'm still alive. Yeah, there you go. Good. So good stuff. So, hey guys, got some nice little bantering going on there. But hey, got any questions? Because I'm just going to keep sipping my tea, wait for some questions. But hey, ain't going to wait all day. So, one more thing to tell you about. Now, Saturday the 12th of July, we've got my Ninja Investor Community Summer Barbecue. Now, that's where a whole bunch of us get together in a wonderful hotel in Stratford-on-Avon, the Welcome Hotel in Stratford-on-Avon. Really nice old, what you call it, country house type thing. It's lovely. And we're going to have a fantastic day networking, a whole day of networking. And you know what? It's called my Pitch Free Conference. So this is the summer barbecue version of Pitch Free conferences. Now they're great because it's safe to bring your wallet to them because you can't buy any training because there's none pitched, there's none offered. So I'm going to give you a link for that in a minute. Actually, I'll give you the link and I can carry on talking about it. Here we go, pitchfreenetworking.com. That's what it says on the tin, Pitch Free Networking. You come network all day, you get over 5 hours of networking and no sales pitches. How good is that? Now, I'm just lining up like a keynote speaker who'll come and give us, so I've got a couple of angles on that I'm working on at the moment, but I always do a mentee case study. So I always interview one of my mentees. And this time it's going to be very interesting, particularly if you haven't got a lot of money to invest in property, because I'm going to be talking to my mentee, Richard Drakes. I'm going to be interviewing him because he's got 2 delayed completion deals on the go now. And we're going to drill down into the detail of those deals, and he's going to tell you how he got them, how he found them, how he negotiated them, and how he's not going to need to put a deposit down at all to buy that property, because he's actually now he's exchanged contracts, but he's hasn't completed yet, but he's doing the work before he completes. It's one of the original strategies I started teaching 15 years ago. So, and you know what? It works. So why don't you come along to the barbecue, summer barbecue, the Pitch Free Networking Conference Summer Barbecue, and you can have a whole day chatting about property. And if you like the people that I see, you can spend all day chatting about property because we absolutely love it, don't we? In fact, it takes me the best part of an hour to get everyone out the room so the hotel can come and clean up the room once the meeting's over, because even after a whole day of chatting about property, they've still got more chat to do about property. It's amazing. So that's going to be an absolutely fabulous day. So get yourself in on there now, pitchfreenetworking.com, Saturday, the 12th of July at the Welcome Hotel, Stratford-on-Avon. Why wouldn't you want to be there? It'd be amazing. So there we go. Leave that up on there for a bit. So you can do that, or you can do you can come and spend some. That's not a training day, by the way. You see, it's a networking day. So there we are. And if you're not doing that, you can come get some training at a virtual live stream or an in-person BRR Summit in Heathrow. Hey, we got a question. Always good. Now, while I answer Alan's question, feel free to put your question in. I'll answer that. Hi, Alan. Good to see you. Coming in through my Facebook page, my Kevin Wright Property Finance Expert Facebook page. And you got a question on cross-collateral bridging. Well, I happen to know a little bit about that. Can I use equity in my private residential property? Yes, you can. It's perfectly possible to use cross-collateral bridging on your own home if you choose to. Some people are a bit wary about that. I understand that, but there's nothing stopping you doing that. If it's still mortgage, yeah, you can still do it if it's got a mortgage, because the right bridging lender will take a second charge on that. And you can do that. You need to have a chunky bit of equity in there, but I can tell you how much that's likely to be. But can you use cross-collateral bridging, the equity in your private residential property, as a deposit for your investments? Or does it have to be another investment property or an unencumbered property? Yeah, you're hearing different responses. I'm not surprised you're hearing different responses, Alan, because a lot of people don't know their arse from their elbow on bridging. So they make it up, or they give you what their perception is. Now, who do you take notice of? Let me give you a hint. You take notice of someone that's personally brokered hundreds of bridging loans, including numerous cross-collateral bridging. So it doesn't have to be another investment property. It can be your private residential property. Your private residential property doesn't have to be unencumbered. It can have a mortgage. It just has to have a fairly low mortgage. You really need a mortgage of no more than 50% of the value. So you need really at least 50% of the value of the property as equity. So if you've managed to sort of chunk down your mortgage, or more at the point, you called mortgage kept the same, but the value have risen over the years you lived there, then you absolutely can use it. And hey, Alan, why don't you let me and my guys in the brokerage sort that out for you? Because, you know, if you're getting different responses, you're obviously talking to the wrong people. So talk to the right people, you know, and we'll get you the right cross-collateral bridging for that. You know, I'll ping you a message after we finish here and see if I can help you further. Now, I've got a feeling that it might be a year or two ago, but I've got a feeling you've been to one of my one-day BRR Summits, because your name's familiar, Alan. So have you remind me, have you come and spent a day with me on one of my BRR Summits? That'd be nice. But anyway, nice to hear from you. Thanks for your question. Good. So, got another question. We're rolling round to 9 o'clock. And we're a bit light on questions today. But hey, look, that happens. I'm okay with that. Sometimes we're stacked out with questions. So there's a natural ebb and flow to this, isn't there? And that's perfectly okay. Now, if you want me to answer a question, no, I do the answering, you do the asking. If you want me to answer a question, put it in there. And let me tell you about something where you don't have to wait all week to ask me a question. Let me tell you about my Recycle Your Cash group. So I've got a Facebook group. It's called Recycle Your Cash, BRR for property investors. I'm going to give you the link. So just cutting and pasting it, popping it in there. There we are. So, kind of Recycle Your Cash, BRR for property investors. Now, if you're a member of that group, and there's over 3,000 people that are, you don't have to wait until Monday morning to ask me a question, because you can fire it in there. And I'm in there pretty much every day. Well, actually, I'm in there every day. And you fire the question and I'll put an answer. And of course, some of the other 3,000 plus members may also give you some guidance as well. But, you know, it's a great little resource. Anyone can join it. All you got to do is jump onto Facebook.com. /groups/recycle your cash. Hey, come and join us. Good. Nicola said, loved your comment to the building surveyors post the other day. Oh, yeah, I can't remember what that one is. I might have to go and have a look at that, but I'm glad you liked it. Or even better, loved it. So yeah, always happy to provide, like I'm always happy to provide useful information in this format on my Monday morning Q&A. That sun's getting a bit strong out there. Pull that over a bit further. There you go. Like I'm happy to do that. I'm also happy to give, detailed comments or answers to questions that are in the Recycle Your Cash group. So yeah, there we are. So if you're not already a member of, there we are. You describe the importance of the role of the building surveyor. Oh, okay, right, okay, yep. And that is a very important role. So there we are. So good. Glad I was able to give you some clarity on that, Nicoletta. So last chance to get a question in, because I'm going to wrap up in the next few minutes, and that often is a spur for someone to just dive in there with a question. And you'd be most welcome if you want to do that. In the meantime, so what are we talking about? So upcoming one-day training events on buy, refurb, refinance, and why you should learn how to BRR, learn how to buy, refurb, refinance before you learn any other strategy in property. Why? Well, it's no good learning about HMOs, for example, and then running out of cash after one or two, then you can't buy anymore. Whereas if you'd learned how to recycle your cash out of any property you want to buy first, then do your HMO course, you can buy as many HMOs as you want to, because you can, when you do buy, refurb, refinance correctly, you can build a whole portfolio on a single pot of cash. And hey, I wrote a book on that. It's on Amazon. Check it out. Buy, refurb, refinance. There you go. It's a bestseller. Danny's coming in. Danny, hello, buddy. How are you? Always nice to hear from you. Been a while. It has, yeah. I haven't seen you for quite a while. Hey, why don't you come down to the summer barbecue? If you heard me watching, talking about that, where are we? Come down and spend a day with us. We can have a real good old chinwag on pitchtreenetworking.com. If you're free, come along. Love to see you there, mate. Got a house due to sell in the next few weeks. Wow. Okay, good. That's a flip you've been doing. I've been watching some of the things you've been posting. Hey, why don't you do an update post in our Ninja Investor community group, which you're part of, and show us what you've done. Give us a heads up on what you've been doing. We love to see stories about what people are doing. People taking action gives other people the confidence to take action. See that a lot. So yeah, give us an update in there. You've definitely got a couple of good stories for case studies. Yeah, okay, great. What can go right, and just as importantly, what can go wrong? Yeah, absolutely. Because look, there's too much of people saying, "Oh, property's wonderful. I've made £1 million," or whatever it was. And making it sound way too easy. And the reality is, it never is. There's always going to be issues, and I'm really big on being real world. I'm always going to tell the story, warts and all. And so do yours as well. You're going to do a post. There we are. Brilliant. Love that. Good. Simon's coming in from YouTube. You asked a question, but it's vanished. Well, hey, ask it again, Simon. That's okay. Have another crack at it and see. I'm just going to scroll back to see if I missed it. I don't think I did. I'm scrolling right back up. No, definitely not seen it. But hey, I'll hang around while you asked it again. I'd love to answer your question, Simon. So crack on, do it again. So while we wait for Simon's question and the mysterious vanishing question of Simon D. Simon D. Oh, that was a DJ yesterday. DJ, wasn't it? Back in I'm showing my age now. Back in the 60s, he had a TV show, didn't he? Simon D. Chat Show. There you go. I guess you're not the same Simon D because he'd be about 80 now, and you look a bit younger than 80 in that little photo there, don't you? Right. So now we got it. Second time lucky. Well done, Simon. Thanks for doing it. Based on 75% loan to value, I have 35k equity in my own home. If I do an assisted sale, which is for those watching that might say, assisted sale, what's that? It's where you don't actually buy a property, but you help the owner improve their property because they're struggling to sell it, probably because it's got a problem, maybe it's dilapidated or whatever. And you just you spend your money helping them improve the quality of their home so they can not only sell it, but sell it for a higher price. And then you have a legal agreement that sits between buyer and seller, because you're not the buyer, you're just helping the seller. And you get your investment in the property back, and you usually split the uplift. So if the property was worth, let's say, 200,000, but it was struggling to sell because it was a bit ropey, you spend 20,000 making it look nice, and it sells for 250. You get your 20 grand back, and you split the 30 grand additional uplift after you got your money back with the owner. So they get 215, and you get 35. So yeah, just a very simple explanation of what assisted sales are. So now we know that. Back to the question. So you got 35. You got, based on a 75% loan to value, you've got 35 available equity in your own home. If I do an assisted sale, can I use the equity to secure bridging finance for that, even if I don't, or the property I do the assisted sale on? Right. Okay. Understand the question. Conceptually, yes, you can borrow money against a property you already own to spend money improving a property that you don't own. You just have to get the legal agreement, the assisted sale legal agreement. As long as you get that watertight, you're okay. Okay. Now, so in principle, yes, you or anyone else can do what you're suggesting there, and it's a nice little strategy. Yeah, it's a nice little way to use that. Now, the issue is securing bridging finance on a second charge basis, because you're not going to get 75% loan to value. Bridgers are not going to do 75% on a second charge basis. They'll do it on a first charge basis. So you don't actually have 35k equity that you think you've got up to 75%. If you're lucky, and we know a few bridgers that will go up to 70%, but some bridgers don't do second charge at all. So they won't do a second charge at all. So you can't use them at all. The ones that will consider it, most of them are going to be stuck at 65% because they view second charge lending as a higher level of risk. So they won't go to the same loan to value as they would on a first charge. So you're looking at, and those at 65%, well, that wipes out your 35k, so it won't work. At 70k, sorry, 70% loan to value, there will be some bridging lenders that will do that, but you're not going to get your 35k. And overarching all of that, if you're talking about, even if you could, it would be silly to do bridging finance for that amount of money. And let me tell you why. Because you've got a lot of setup fees. Bridging works for larger amounts of money, typically 100k or above, but certainly 50k above. It's illogical, Simon, to do it for 35k. And here's why. A lot of bridgers won't actually do loans that low anyway. But even if they did, you've got to pay for a valuation fee. You've got to pay legal fees for your solicitor and the bridging lender solicitor. You've got a 2% arrangement fee. So even if you could do it, it's probably going to cost you more likely £5,000 in fees to get access to that 35k, even if you could, and you can't. So what should you be doing instead? Taking a personal loan. You can get 25k certainly on a personal loan. There's no cost to set it up. You get the whole 25k in your bank account, and you can pay it back, or keep it and reuse it. You could, if you take a 5-year personal loan at 25k, you might even be able to get 30 or 35k. Far more sensible option. In fact, it's your only option because you can't use that 35k available equity because it isn't available based on the way that I've described it, because you won't get a second charge bridging loan up to 75%. It's a really good question. And isn't it funny? When I say I'm going, in come the questions. Really, thanks for your question on that. I'm sorry I can't give you the answer you want, Simon, but I've given you an alternative that actually is better for you anyway. So there we are, and thanks for persevering. Oh, thanks, mate. Appreciate that. I talk a lot of sense. I'll give you the real world stuff. I don't blow smoke up your ass and tell you what you want to hear. I'll tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. That's the difference. Even if you don't like it, I'll tell you what you need to hear. Christian, hey, how you doing, buddy? Now, you're coming up to, I think, my London BRR Summit, aren't you, on the 28th? We had to switch you around because you were due to go to Birmingham, but something happened, you couldn't make that. So we switched you around and so I'm looking forward to spending the day with you there. So do you think single buy-to-let is dead since Section 24 was introduced? And should people be looking at more modern strategies like HMO and service accommodation? Okay. Great question, Christian. And are they more modern though? Because look, they weren't called HMOs. That house of multiple occupation is a descriptive term that's come around in the last 10, 15 years. But look, I was doing them nearly 40 years ago. I was renting out by the room nearly 40 years ago, so it ain't new and it's not modern. It's got a more modern name, but it's not a new strategy. We just used to call them bed sits, but same principle. Use a short hold letting AST, assured short hold tenancy agreement, for each room, not the house. Service accommodation. People have been renting out homes, not quite how they do now. For years, people had usually it was holiday homes, more than like for business, but Airbnb, that's around. So that's okay. So is single buy-to-let dead since Section 24? Well, Section 24, the answer is no. I don't think it is. It's still a very valid place, and I'll explain why. So Section 24 just knocked out the ability to use mortgage interest relief as a business expense, but it's still Section 24 tax doesn't apply to limited companies. So what you've seen since that was introduced almost 10 years ago now, in 2016, is a massive switch over to owning property in limited companies and not in personal names. Buy-to-let works, single AST buy-to-let works just as well. In fact, it's had a resurgence. Here's why. Because unfortunately for tenants, the shortage of rental property has pushed rates up in many areas, or rental rates up in many areas of the UK. In the last 6 or 7 years, the rent you pay for a given house has somewhere near doubled, which is crazy. But it's the law of diminishing demand, isn't it? Because diminishing supply, not diminishing demand. because the demand has grown over the last 10 years, but the supply has dropped because of landlords getting up, because of the increased taxation and landlords, usually older landlords. I do talk about this actually on my one-day event. You're going to hear me talk about this when you stay day me on the 28th. I'm going to tell you why, we're currently in a generational shift that probably hasn't been seen well for a generation. Where a lot of older landlords from the last, 15, 20, 25 years are deciding to sell up. But who's buying those homes? In part, it's people wanting to remain residents, but the rest of them, it's new landlords that are looking at it with fresh eyes, understanding what works in BRR today, what in renting today. And look, you go back into the last decade, into the 2010s, and people were talking about, well, you'll make probably £200 a month on a single AST let by the time you got, and that's with mortgages at massive historical lows like they were in the 2010s. Now they're not. So you'd think, well, if you only made £200 a month when mortgage rates were really low, you probably make nothing. Now mortgage rates are higher. But you'd be wrong, because here's what's happened. As I said, rents have really ramped up. In some cases, doubled in the last 6 or 7 years. Now, some of the people I train, and I'm going to give you some of their stories on the 28th, Christian, they're making £400, £500, £600 a month rent over mortgage profit on a single AST property. So do I think single buy to let is dead? Absolutely not. Not dead at all. But you need to be smart how you do it. You need to do it in a limited company name, almost certainly, so you can claim the mortgage interest as tax relief, because the mortgage interest is higher now because rates are higher. But yeah, and the good thing about single AST renting is that, get it right, it's hassle free. I mean, when I was doing it, I wouldn't hear from my tenants in many cases from one year to the next. So, I mean, there's no such thing as truly passive income, but single AST can be a lot more, it's a lot more hands off with the right tenant than HMOs or service accommodation are ever going to be. And look, the easiest thing to do now is to rent out a property on a single AST, because you've got massive demand for it in all areas. Sometimes, I've talked to a letting agent, and they said when they put a property up for rent, they can only advertise it for an hour because they're overwhelmed with inquiries. They've got 40 people wanting to view it, potentially to rent it out, and they have to take it down. So there's massive demand for single ASTs, and that's why they still work, because the rent you can get on them now makes them work. 2 other points. HMOs only work typically if it's up to 6 bedrooms, as long as all the rooms are rented out. If you're running a room light on one of those 4 to 5, 6 bedroom HMOs, you're not going to make the return. You're only going to get the return that you would that you get on a single AST, but you've got a shed load more hassle because you've got a bunch of people living together and that don't know each other, and get that wrong, and it's like having ferrets in a bag, you know what I'm saying. And service accommodation, well, that only works if you can get enough bookings every month, and hopefully you will, but it's much riskier. So there's no reason why people can't look at more modern strategies, even though they're not that modern, HMOs and service accommodation. But you have to understand that your chances of being fully booked on HMOs and service accommodations are way less than on a single AST buy-to-let. So if you get HMO, service accommodation, etc. wrong, you're probably earning no more and possibly less than a single AST buy to let, and you got more hassle. So there you go. See, there's a lot of bullshit talked out there, isn't there? And Simon D referenced it when he said, talk a lot of sense. Yeah, I just say what's real, Christian. So look forward to meeting you too. Boston Booth has popped up, said that's so true. We're talking about single ASTs. It's the most passive strategy is a single AST, pretty much. There is another pretty passive strategy, which is to rent to an organisation on a commercial lease, 3 to 5 years, and let them tenant it, so you don't have to worry about it. That's pretty passive as well. You have to have a special type of mortgage. You have to have more like a commercial mortgage for that because it's a commercial lease. It's not an AST. But I've got a number of students doing that. Whether they're renting to charities or special interest organisations, they just lease the property. And councils do it as well. Councils will lease your property for 3 to 5 years, and it's a fully repairing lease, so they've got to give it back to you. They've got to do all the reparations, give it back to you in the condition it was when they started. And hey, if it sits empty, doesn't matter. You're still getting paid. Now that is a real passive strategy. But there you are. But that and ASTs, yeah. So Boss in Booth, I'm glad you agree. There we go. So we had a little flurry there, didn't we? Rob's just checked in. We'll catch up on the replay. Yeah, I know you always do that, Rob, and I really appreciate you doing that. So thanks for that. So, hey, I think we're going to wrap up unless we have another question, because it's going to be it'll drag on a bit if we have another question, but if it comes up, I'll answer it. I'll always answer them. So Saturday week, 21st, BRR Virtual Summit. There you are, brr.com, brrsummit.com, or the 28th to the 29th in London and Bristol. Come and have a day's networking with me at the Summer Barbecue, the Pitch Free Networking Conference at pitchfreenetworking.com, and come and do that. There you go. Or just come and, if you're not there already, come and join my Facebook group, Recycle Cash. So there we are. Hey. And hey, thanks for watching today. It turned out to be a bit of a good one. I had some good questions at the end. I had to wait for you people. I was going to be a bit rude there. I had to wait for you a while for you people to get them out there, but you got there in the end. Well done. Good. So, actually, I'm not going to be around next Monday. So it's going to be the 23rd when I'm going to do it. So I won't be doing one of these next Monday morning. So the next 2 weeks' time, 23rd of June, I'll come back and we'll do another property finance Q&A. And I'll have a bundle of fun doing it. And hopefully you'll get some useful information from doing it. So thanks very much for tuning in. If you're watching the replay, actually, just give us a hashtag replay so I know you watched it. But hey, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time. Have a great time. See you then.